Today I'm gonna show how to migrate your website from your laptop to Exoscale. So first of all, you have to have a website already ready. So in this case, I created just one pager where I talk about the research collaboration with Korean scholars and report the outcomes for this project. So basically, it's just front-end programming. It doesn't even have a JavaScript. It's only solely HTML and CSS. Inside of this web page, right, I only have like a few folders. Because it's one pager, I only have the index HTML, and I have two folders with images and with CSS. That is the style files. So basically that's it, and we need to start with creating an instance in Exoscale. I already showed how to connect the instance to your laptop in my previous video, and I'll try to link it somewhere on this video before. So I'm gonna go very fast through how to create an instance. So first, let's create the instance. I'm gonna spin it on Linux Ubuntu and let it stay in Germany and France one. And because it doesn't have really much of anything, basically. It doesn't have even JavaScript. So I think for my purposes, the micro would be enough, as well as the disk space. 10 gigabytes is more than enough for me because the website itself is really small. So key pair is these SSH keys. I have already connected them to my Mac, and you have to go to the previous video to see how it's done. Other than that, I'll show the connection to ports after we create this instance. So basically push on this create button and let's wait for it to start running. So right now it shows stopped. It will change to running. It's already created the IP address for the server, and right now it's already running. So if you go back to the instances, it will show this instance over here, and that will be your instance. Obviously, it's better to change the name for the instance, because if you have many instances, it's not identifiable. So I'm here just gonna call it collaboration. And if we go back to instances now, we can identify it much easier. So over here, the thing that we need to change, which you probably haven't in your instance. So for instance, you go to your instance and you need to change the security groups. I already have this default group where I already added the rules for SSH port and for the HTTP port. For you to create this, you need to have those both. So this one, the port 22 will allow your laptop to connect to this server, and port 80 will allow your website to be actually accessed through the web. So your server accessed, and you basically will have your website there running. So to do that, you have to do the same as I have here. So it should be type of ingress, the protocol TCP, sources CIDR on 0000. So how to create them is also, you can go to my previous video, or over here if I show you, you just choose the ingress TCP CIDR, leave the source as it is, and ports you identify them as 22 start, 22 end, or 80 start and 80 end. So basically you have to have those two ports identified to the security groups. Then, so when you have everything already ready, now you need to connect to your instance. So for that, you need to connect to the terminal, but you need to copy this SSH command from the instance and then go to your terminal, and over here just paste the command that you have copied from the instance. It will ask you whether you want to continue to connect, and you just type yes, and this server will be added to your known hosts. So when you are connected to the host, first we're gonna update our applications. When the update is done, next I will install NGINX, and that's a web server that will allow for you to have actually a web page on the server. When the NGINX is installed, you can actually copy this address and go to that address, and you will see that the server is actually running because you see the welcome NGINX page. So then back in your instance, you have to go to that directory of NGINX, and that you can find by this path. So it's on var www.html, and if you go there, you'll see there's only one file, index engine debian at html, and that's the page that you see here on the server when you connect to this IP address. So here. So what we need to do right now is to copy this web page, right? This whole website to the server. So now the objective is to copy all the files that relates to this website to the instance, to this folder, the var www.html. And to do that, you need to open a new terminal, and there you will use another command which is called scp, which stands for secure copy. And what you need to do here is to identify that it will be recursive -r. That means that you are copying not one file but a whole folder. Then you need to identify the path to that folder and the path to where you plan to copy it. In our instance is the root of our instance IP, and then the path to this specific folder. And just run this command, and it will copy all the files to that specific folder. So as soon as it finished, you can go back to your instance and see whether the folder has been copied. And now you see that the website is there. And if you just go to that website, you'll see that all files are there. Because this is actually this website is also backed up in GitHub. I also have copied all the Git related files, and I don't really need them, but it's okay. So Next, so for instance, so we have copied it, right? So we should be able to see it on our IP address, but it won't show on the main directory. It will show though, like in the directory that we have just copied. So if we go to this IP address /website, we should be able to see it. So yes, everything is running. However, we want this website to actually to show on the IP address without having to, to go to this specific address, IP/website, just the IP. And to do that, I need to copy this style folder, image folder, and index.html to the parent folder. And I'll do it just by copying them recursively, also this CSS, the styles, to the parent folder. Then I'll copy the image folder recursively as well. And I'll copy the index.html, but because it's just a file, I can do it without R. So now if we go back to the parent folder, we should be able to see all of them here, and everything looks okay. But now we can remove the NGINX welcoming page by doing basically the same, but remove it. It's index NGINX DBN. All right. And let's see if it's removed, and everything looks okay. Now, if I go to the IP address of my instance, it should show the website rather than the NGINX welcoming page. Let's check. And it works. So basically, this is it. You create an instance, you specify the ports 22 and 80, then you copy the NGINX to your created instance, and then you copy all the website files to that specific folder in NGINX. And then when you go to the IP address, you will have your website running.